remember I said you can always use the inside of your bag as your place to drain your fluids into? So before I even put my spigot into my bag, I like to roll off my line. Choose my line. Which one's this? That's a macro, yep. Hold my plug. Oh, this is different. There we go. We need 5 more hands. Alright, so I've got that in there. I'm going to turn it up. And then I can give this a squeeze, and that will fill my chamber. Okay? And I'm always going to put my bag on the side so that the line is running through it. Alright. Come here, line. So I need to get rid of all of my bubbles, and I find the easiest thing to do is run it right straight back into my bag.
What was the trick for this again?
The little trick is if it's a micro chamber, don't open this wheel all the way. Okay? If it's a macro, it doesn't bubble as badly, so you can open it pretty much all the way. The other thing is this port always has bubbles in it, so make sure that you give it a good flick because this is the one we're going to typically inject into. You could get if it had another port up higher, that you could use that as well, but oftentimes it depends on the line. So you see the size of the bubble that came out of there? If I was injecting through that port, I'd be sending that bubble to my patient. See it? Alright, my bubbles are all out. I'm going to close my wheel. And then I'm going to put it into my machine. So I put it in so that there's not a lot left here because this is just wasted space, right? And I'm going to close my door, and then I'm going to make sure that I remember at this point to open my wheel back up. Okay? Or if I've closed any of the other clamps, maybe I've closed one of these or somebody else did, always checking all of your clamps in your wheel that they're open. So once I've done that, it's ready to go to be hooked up to my patient. And of course I would have warmed it ahead of time. So I want to turn my machine on to find out if it's in macro or micro. And it is in what? Micro. And what did I say this was? So I got to go back and change that. So I shut it off, hold select, hold it down, turn the on off, and now it says select, right? I hit select, it goes to 10-P, we don't want that. It goes to TPN, we don't want that. It goes to macro. You see how it's lit up? That's what we want. All right, it's ready to be set now. So what do we want to set our fluid rate at? You guys are no fun. You're not playing. 20.
69.
Now she's playing. All right, so I've set it for 20, right? I want to know, that's my rate. It's lit up. It says time. How long do we want to set it for?
An hour.
There's my hour. I hit select. It says volume to be infused, VTBI, 20 mils. Is that right? Yeah. Volume infused, 0 at this point because we've not given anything. If it wasn't 0, we could hit clear and make it 0. Because sometimes you'll prime your line using your machine, and so you may have run a mil or 3 mils or something out of the bag already, but it's not gone to your patient, so you don't want it in your calculation. I go back to rate again and I say, yep, that's what I want. Now, in order for this to hold this information, if I was to shut this off right now, it wouldn't hold it. It would just erase the memory. But if I wanted to remember that this is what I want, I hit run hold. See the little line is moving there? And then I hit run hold again, and it's on hold. If I leave it on hold until I'm ready to use it, what's going to happen? It's going to save it, but it's also going to do something else in very short order. It's going to yell at me and say, I'm still sitting here on hold, what do you want me to do? And I'm going to say, can you just sit back and relax for a little bit? Go sleep. So turn it off. So now if I turn it back on, because I hit the run hold first, it's going to have the information that I saved. Yep, it's 20. Yeah, it's an hour. 20 being fused, none given. We're back to the start again. And we can hit run at this point, and it would go to our patient. So let's say we're in the middle of surgery, and I say to you, double fluid rates. What are you gonna do?
You put it on hold, and then you would go select again to get your rate.
You don't even have to hit select.
Oh, it just goes.
Just
okay.
arrow up.
And then it'd be 40.
All right, run. Everybody see what I did? I hit run hold, and I just hit my arrow. And I'm doing it, all right? So you don't have to, the only time you need to go through the select process again is if you're changing something else. So for example, if I put on a secondary bag and I want it to run for just 20 minutes, I might then choose to go to the select part of time and say 20 minutes because I don't want to run over. There are certain IV fluids that we give that if you run it for more than the 20-minute time allotment, you're going to give them too much of it. It's going to change their osmosis, the osmotic pressure within the vessels. So making sure that we actually set it for what we want it. But if we're just in surgery and we're just doubling, just do it. Okay? So that'll be some things. So you'll need to be able to change from macro to micro. You're going to need to be able to set it. And then I'm going to ask you to double whatever it is you're giving. All right? So if you give me that it's going to be 69. Oh, look, it's yelling at me. It says you didn't do anything. Push run. Do something. All right. I push hold again. If you give me 69, then you got to do that math in your head. Because I'm going to say double it.
Okay, 138.
Oh, look, there's some hands. All right. The other thing that might happen is this machine might say high pressure. If it says high pressure, it means somewhere between the pump and the patient, there's a problem. Maybe the patient's laying on it funny and it's kinked. Maybe this wheel is still closed. Something is going on to prevent the flow of fluid that you need to find between the patient and the pump. If it says air, it means that it's from the pump to the bag. There's a problem. Oftentimes it means if I open this little door, you're going to see there's an air bubble in the middle of that chamber, and you need to get that through. The thing to remember is if it's a micro drip, meaning you've got a small patient, you could be flowing several mils before you ever figure out what's going on if you don't occlude it. All right, so as soon as you open this, as soon as I open this, see how it's pouring out on the floor as well? And as soon as I close it, it's occluded it and it stopped. I didn't even get my shoe wet, I don't think. Shut up. Alright, so you have to make sure that you saw how much fluid came out right away. So if it was a cat, we wouldn't want to do that, right? We could put in way too much fluids too quickly. So we might want to wheel it off first before we open the door. Plus, if you're opening the door, just take the bag off or something and you forget to wheel it, it goes on the floor.
What point do you open the wheel again? Like
As soon as this door is closed, the wheel can be open.
Okay.
If the door is going to be open, you got to shut off the wheel.
Okay.
Make sense? All right, it's yours to play with.